Hello and welcome to the history of Minecraft. Today I'll be covering the 6 development phases that Minecraft has gone through, and I'll go over popular and well-known topics in them, as well as some important game updates and features. So let's hop right into it. The first development phase for Minecraft was called the pre-classic phase. Notch created Minecraft in May of 2009. Minecraft was a project that was based off an earlier game of his called Ruby Dung. Currently, there are no existing builds of Ruby Dung available online, however there have been some attempts at remakes. The name Minecraft was created when Notch was chatting with others in an internet relay chat, and people were throwing out random ideas. The first build of Minecraft was actually called Cave Game. It simply featured grass and cobblestone blocks, and you could only build and destroy things. It had some caves generate underground as well. Most pre-classic builds of the game were like this, but they sometimes featured new blocks like wooden planks and smooth stone, and they also had some NPCs running around sometimes as well. The next phase of development was called the Classic phase. This phase introduced creative mode and survival mode. Creative mode allows players to have an infinite amount of resources so that they can build anything that they want. Survival mode makes it possible for the player to die and lose their items. Players also have to gather their own resources in this mode. The Classic phase was also the first phase that featured a true multiplayer mode. 0.24 Survival Test was the first version of Minecraft with survival mode. It introduced iconic mobs such as the Creeper. This was actually short for in development. These versions were used in order to test new features and see what people thought of them. It introduced many essential features to Minecraft that we still have today, such as an inventory feature, crafting, and tools. Some textures for items such as the apple and the sword came from a different game made by Notch, called Legend of the Chamber. There were also some scrap features that are currently not in Minecraft today. For example, there was a feature that listed the player's stats. However, these stats could not change and they actually didn't affect anything. Many in-dev versions have been lost and many people are working hard to try and find these versions. There are actually many versions of Minecraft that are thought to exist but have never been seen before. Next up is the InfDev phase. InfDev phase is one of the most important phases throughout Minecraft's development. This phase was the first one to introduce infinite world generation. This made it so that people can explore their worlds forever and never reach a limit. However, this infinite world generation also came with some problems. At around 12,550,821 blocks, or meters, away from spawn, there was a world generation glitch called the Farlands. It is one of the most well-known and iconic glitches in the game. These so-called Farlands generated due to the noise generators responsible for terrain generation would stop working at these areas. This was eventually fixed in later versions of the game.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! Oh, shit. Yeah, dude! Look at that! Yeah!
However, the actual world limit was 64 million by 64 million blocks. Just to put into perspective how large that is, the Earth has a surface area of 510 million square kilometers. A Minecraft world at that time had a surface area of 4.096 billion square kilometers. This means that a Minecraft world was theoretically 8 times larger than the Earth. InfDev is actually the phase which introduced naturally generated structures as well. The first structure ever created was the Brick Pyramid. It was a rare structure that reached the game's building height limit and was made entirely out of bricks, and sometimes caves would even spawn inside of them. The structure was created in order to test whether or not the game could handle such big structures. The next phase in Minecraft's development was the Alpha phase. In this phase, survival mode was the only playable mode. The game was updated very frequently in this phase because Notch was working very hard on it. He had a small team working on the game with him. This team would later become a company known as Mojang. This phase was actually the first to introduce the Nether. This dimension was only accessible if the player made a portal out of obsidian and lit it on fire using flint and steel. It was a dimension that was made in order to represent hell. The alpha phase was the first to introduce new biomes to the game as well. In this phase, Notch and his team introduced something called Secret Friday updates, where he would release a new update every single Friday and leave the players to discover it. The final phase before the official release of Minecraft was the beta phase of the game. This development phase allowed game modes to be switched in the world creation menu. You could switch between creative mode or survival mode. The health mechanic was also changed in this phase. You used to eat food in order to regain health, but now you instead eat to fill up a hunger bar. If your hunger bar is not full, then you will not be able to heal over time. Achievements were also something that was added to the game. Combat was also updated a lot, with critical hits, charge-up bows, sprinting, and blocking being added to the game. Experience points and levels were added in order to allow the player to enchant their items. It also introduced the End Dimension, which featured the Ender Dragon, which is the final boss of the game. Beating the game will display a poem known as the End Poem. Following this, the credits will show, indicating that the player has beaten the game. The final line that appears after the credit screen is a quote that says the following: 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Unknown. Currently, it is thought that there is no definitive meaning to the end poem, the poem shown after you beat the game. However, many people have made up theories for what it could mean. If you've never read it before, I recommend that you do. It's actually pretty good, although it's probably a lot more satisfying to read it after beating the game. Minecraft was officially released on November 18th, 2011. The game can now be bought for $30. Many features have changed over the years and new updates are still being made. There are updates like the Cave and Cliffs update, which added bigger caves to the game. Notch eventually sold Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. There are many versions of Minecraft on different platforms now. It's available for consoles and on mobile devices. Minecraft has sold over 238 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling video game of all time. Despite being 14 years old, the game has over 173 million active monthly players on average. Minecraft is not only a game, but it has become a passion for many people. It will likely be remembered forever, as there is no other game like it and it has lasted so long. What was once a small and independently developed project has turned into a staple in gaming.